Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back to Fat Cat Collections. And today I want to share with you guys an experience that I've had with a company. And you know, one thing about YouTube, it's very powerful. It's powerful not only that I get to share all kinds of great products with you guys, but also I'm always honest with products that I've received or that I have an issue with, so that you guys don't get screwed. And this is what it comes down to. Not only is it important to get a product that's going to work properly, but also get a product from a company who's going to stand behind that product as long as you're within your warranty. I realize that there are exceptions. You know, you can't warranty everything forever. Products do fail, and companies just can't give you a lifetime warranty on things. But when you spend the kind of money I spent on this is Asus's top-of-the-line, almost top-of-the-line router. And this thing has been nothing but trouble for the last 7 or 8 months. As soon as I started adding more Wi-Fi devices to my network, this thing became unstable. And only unstable in the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum, or bandwidth, or band. Let me read you a little bit about how great it sounds. Tri-band router, dual 5 gigahertz frequencies plus a 2.4 gigahertz. 32 megabit per second, smooth 4K playback, blah, blah, blah. Smart Connect, it makes sure each device is connected to the ideal Wi-Fi band. That's one of the main reasons I purchased this. It allows you to broadcast one SSID, and this does all the heavy lifting as far as steering, or band steering, different devices on where it's going to get the best performance. 5 gigahertz has less interference, so if your devices are compatible with 5, it's going to try to connect them to there. And you can set all this in the settings. Great user interface as far as having control, but very confusing on how to even set it up. So I left everything pretty much stock. This thing, once I started adding devices, completely became unstable on the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum. I ended up having to add an access point. I feared maybe my Sonos switches were the cause of this. I was like, oh man, cheap switches, that's the problem. It wasn't the problem. The problem is with this router. So since then, for the last 6 months, I've spent countless hours on the phone and chat with Asus, doing what they want me to do. Canceling the tri, even though tri-band's their whole hot seller on why this will benefit you, they recommend canceling that, broadcasting 3 separate networks. So you have your 2.4 in the name. Let's say you call it Asus 2.4, Asus 5.1, Asus 5.2. 3 different networks you can connect to, okay? So my cell phone's a 5 gig, my iPad, I'd connect to that network, but I don't want to have to do that. I want this device to work the way they advertise it's supposed to work. $280 for a router is a lot of money for the average person to go spending for their home, especially when you get them from your internet service provider in most cases included. So I got this thing here. It says AI radar beamforming, which they failed to tell you is only compatible with devices that will work with that. So that just doesn't do anything. So really all I wanted this thing to do was be able to work and have good range with 6 antennas you think it would. Well, 5 gigahertz frequency works great. Nothing drops on 5. 2.4 is a mess. And I reached out to them over 6 months ago. I did all the things they wanted me to do. Make sure firmware is updated, which I always do anyway. And I kind of feel like this problem happened after a firmware update, to be honest with you, but I can't really pinpoint the exact date. It kind of seemed like when this thing started to happen. So basically, of everything I've done, spent hours, and I don't know if you guys have ever messed around with a router, but when you have to change everything and then reconnect everything, you have 60 devices, it takes you hours. I spent 8 hours on this in one day trying to get this to work. Finally, I went back. It didn't do anything to make any difference. Reformatted it, recovered it, went back to the tri-band mode, and so in the meantime I said, why don't I just try moving devices off this device? So I took an old 16-year-old router by Linksys, which I upgraded the firmware to DDWRT. It allows you to make the router not just a router, but an access point, a repeater. I used it as a access point. So what I did is I hooked that up to this router. I'm broadcasting a second SSID. Okay, we'll call it Fat Cat Collections 2, right? And that's not the name of an SSID, but I'm just saying, let's say that's it. And so I connected all those devices, like the Sonos switches, some of the other smart devices, to that device. Since I did that, those devices never dropped connection, ever. Then I said, okay, well, let me go ahead and try moving other devices off this router. Let's try to lighten the load, right? So I went and bought an Asus I think it's the AC-3200. It's a box-looking thing. It's got red lights on it. I got it really great deal on eBay used. It's basically an access point or a rebroadcaster. You can rebroadcast your 2.4 and 5 gigahertz network, or you can broadcast just 5 gigahertz or 2.4. The idea in it, I'll do a review on it. The idea in it is that if you want to add internet to a different part of your house, it's a range extender as well, so you won't lose any bandwidth. So if you use it in wireless mode, it'll pick up the other signal, the wireless signal, and it'll rebroadcast it. Both of those, if you broadcast both 2.4 and 5, you'll lose half bandwidth, or you can hook it up to 5 gigahertz and just broadcast 2.4, and vice versa. So I just hardwired it to the router, and I broadcast a nice, another 2.4 signal, trying to figure out where the problem might lie. So I hooked up the LifeX bulbs to that. Everything I've hooked up to those two other devices on 2.4 gigahertz is stable. It just works. This thing, I only have 5 or 6 devices connected on a 2.4 gigahertz, and you know what? Sometimes they drop connection, sometimes they work. New laptop I just got from iView, can't connect to it. You have to reboot the router every time you want to try to connect. Cell phone randomly will connect, that's the old 2.4. Cannot connect any new devices to that 2.4 router. Why? I don't know. Connect to the access point, no problem. This router is defective, and it's been defective for a very long time. And all the countless chats I've had with Asus, a couple weeks ago, or a week ago, they said, yep, due to the circumstances, due to all the trouble you've had, we're going to go ahead and initiate an advanced return. So what happens is I can't be without my network. This is how I run my website. This is my fun time. I mean, I can't be without internet for 2 weeks while I send this back to get it serviced. Who could do that? Even if you didn't do what I do, you wouldn't want to do that. I mean, 60 devices. I depend on my internet. It needs to be It needs to be fixed in a day. So they said they would send me a new one. I would put a deposit on my credit card, and then once I got the new one, I had 15 calendar days to send back the defective one. As long as there was nothing that I did to it, I would get the hold on my card canceled. Well, went ahead, no problem, Jeff. No worries. We're going to get that taken care of for you. Within 5 hours, I get an email saying it's denied. Doesn't qualify. No reason for it. Just doesn't qualify for that advanced return. Went ahead and called, talked to a supervisor, understood the problem. Very sorry. We're going to bump this up the food chain. Get an email back today. They assured me everything. I was promised this for months. Here's what I got back today. My name is Cordell B, and I'm with Asus Corporate Customer Care. This is a courtesy follow-up, as I've been monitoring your case earlier. Please accept our apology for the connectivity issues you've been experiencing with your Asus router. We assure you we are taking this case seriously, and we are diligently working to rectify the situation. I would also like to extend my sincere apologies for the misinformation about our service policies previously. I understand this is really disappointing, and it's not a practice to have this type of situation with our customers. Your Asus router only has the option for regular servicing. That was the reason why it was in declination when the advanced replacement process was attempted. Please, kindly, we ask that you send your unit in for service, as this is a stipulation in the warranty terms and conditions. We thank you for understanding. So basically, you're just giving me the same line of bullshit that all the other people gave me there. We can't do anything. Even though this has been going on for 6 months. I should have took it immediately and returned it to Tiger Direct. But I didn't, and now I'm stuck with this $280 piece of shit. So guys, I want to share this with you. I will continue. Anytime you try to screw me on a product, I will definitely continue to let you guys know, let the subscribers and the public know that this is not a router you want to buy. Now, yeah, you can have good and bad luck with anything, but with it, when you're within your warranty time period, it should be taken care of. When you have something that's advanced return, how much more advanced can it possibly take? This is the most expensive router they sell. It's not like this was $50. So you would think that after all the money spent, all the time spent, that their advanced return program would qualify for that due to all the headache that I've had with this thing. So now what I ultimately have to do, because Asus takes a stance that they're not going to do anything and our hands are tied, basically they don't stand behind their product. I will never buy another Asus product as long as I live. And this is not, if you look at other people talk about this router, it does not work like it says it does. The Tri-Band, they recommend turning that stuff off because it's not stable. Right from their own chat, they told me that. So, you know, guys, go with a different brand. If you're going to upgrade your router, I'm probably going to buy a Linksys next, or I'll do some research and try to find out, you know, who has the best customer service where you can actually talk to somebody. Anytime you call here, you have to repeat yourself. I don't know why you ask for my RMA number, and if you're not willing to even look at the notes. Do they even have notes? I've had to constantly repeat myself on every single conversation with these people, and you know what? They just suck. So I will never stop reviewing this product. I know this is a bitching, ranting session, but you know, you guys have to know if I had this kind of issues with any company, you know, at least my other, you know, if you have a situation like I've had an issue with the car amplifier back in the day, right? And so they were like, no problem, we'll service it, but you got to send it in, and you got to send a check in with the amplifier for return shipping. And I'm like, yeah, that sucks. I mean, the amplifier is $200. You know, I got to spend now $30 of my own money. And, you know, when I argued about that, they were actually like, you know what, we'll take care of the shipping cost back to you on that. And so I was like, fair enough, you met me halfway. And so that, you know, with a car amplifier, you can be without that. You could take it out of your car and just live without having music for, you know, a week or so, right? Not with internet. We need internet. It's become an integral part of our life to actually make things work. My whole home is internet based. I can't be without a router for 2 weeks. I can't be without a router for even a day. So ultimately, guys, what will have to happen is I'm going to have to bite the bullet, buy a new router. I'll live with this for a little while here. And maybe, who knows, maybe I'll get lucky and we'll have a firmware update and suddenly everything will work. But I just think this thing is defective. And, you know, they say Reader's Choice router brand 4 years running. Don't buy an Asus router. They won't stand behind their product. All right, guys. Sorry for that. Had to share with you guys. You'll see more of this video because I'm pretty pissed off about this. This wasn't a cheap device. And this thing is worse than a 16-year-old $50 router. Shouldn't be the case. So I would say you get what you pay for, but not always true, guys. Remember that. All right, have a good day. Thanks, Asus.